What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Dog Waters, and I am back. And we're going deeper into the book of King Og, the War of the 100,000 Giant War. But in order for you guys to actually understand what's going on with this, we really got to do a lot of background. When I say a lot of background, we got to do a hell of a lot of background. So, my intentions right now is to go into that background research and basically lay out for you the things that you need to understand in order for you to grasp what I'm going to be reading to you. Now, for those of you listening, I got to tell you right now, I recorded at home just Og talking mad trash to Moses before they went to battle. And as you guys know from the video yesterday, Moses killed King Sion, who was a giant as well, and Og, right back to back. But last night when I was trying to sleep, like, man, some really vicious entity came into my dreams. It didn't. It's hard to tell, but bad. It was a bad boy. It was a bad boy. Took over my dreams, and it was peering in at me over this doorway. And it kind of looked like a Medusa looking freaking thing. It was crazy, but it didn't do anything. It was just watching. So I assumed because I kept on calling the name Baal last night that it was like, oh, you calling on my master, let me come see what's going on with you. And so in the middle of the night I woke up and pleaded the blood of Jesus Christ and went back to sleep. I had that cold chill, that you get in your sleep where you know something's around. But I just tucked my body under the cover and went my behind back to bed because I'm not doing this to glorify Baal or anybody else. I'm doing this to glorify my God. Because if you understand the background to the wars of the giants and actually what went on and what happened, you really understand that you serve a powerful God. And furthermore, you understand that you should not be afraid of anybody or anything but Him. So I rest assured in my faith in God that no matter what comes, I'm going to be straight. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm seeing, as you read and as you listen, in your case, you'll get a greater understanding like, whoa, this was some bad stuff going down. And they handled it like G's for real. All right. So let's go to the first slide because this is a presentation more than it's part presentation, part audio. You guys will get a chance to take a look, but let's go into the first slide. All right. So starting here. First of all, everybody knows about Genesis 6. When we talk about the fallen angels sleeping with women and begotten giants. But there's a lot more in the Bible, a hell of a lot more scriptures that touch on the presence of giants, like Deuteronomy 1 and 28, which is what I played for you guys yesterday. Where can we go? Our brothers have made our hearts melt in fear. They say, the people are stronger and taller than we are. The cities are large, the walls up to the sky. We even saw the Anakites there, which is a tribe of the giants. Deuteronomy 3 and 1. King Og of Bashan was the last of the Raphaim. His bed was decorated with iron and was more than 9 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. It is still in Rahab of the Ammonites. Numbers 13:23. When they reached the valley of Eshcol, they cut off a branch bearing a single cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried it on a pole between them, along with some pomegranates and figs, meaning that the fruit in this land was so big that they had to carry it on a pole. So clearly, the Bible has evidence of not only giants, but giant plants, giant fruits, and very big old world, vegetation. Why is this significant? Part of the reason why it's extremely significant is because I remember as a young Christian in college talking to people, and they'd be like, well, how does the Bible account for the dinosaurs and the giant fruits and the giant trees? But if you've never read any of that, then you don't know it's there. You know what I'm saying? You just don't. You have no clue that it's there. And when you get into this book of Og, it's going to talk about the beasts of the field, the mighty beasts that came out and fought in the war. And I don't know of any old mighty beasts other than T-Rexes and all kind of other stuff that we know was here historically. Um, Genesis 6, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also forward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, the men of renown. Everybody's familiar with Genesis 6:4, Numbers 13:3. We saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak, come from the Nephilim. Um, we seem like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. So clearly, there's evidence of giants in the Bible. We all know this, but let's go a little bit further because in order to understand the clash that was happening, um, you need to understand Baal worship and the worship that the Canaanites had, and the Amorites and all these other giant tribes. They were worshippers of two entities, Baal and Moloch. So let's move forward with that. Now, who was Baal in the Bible? Baal was the Canaanite and Phoenician deity, the son of the chief god El. He's depicted as in the shape of a bull or a ram, right? And he's a fertility god. Now, the most interesting thing about the exodus of the Hebrew Israelites or the Israelite people leaving out of Egypt, they struggle with this entity more than Moloch. They struggle with Baal the most. Um, and there's different variations in names of Baal, which you'll find in this book. They refer to him as Baal of the earth, Baal of the sun, Baal of the moon. And those different variations are similar to how people call the Most High Jehovah, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Shashalom, the various names that people use to worship Baal. It's very interesting also that it says that he was the son of the chief god El, and that he defeated El, and eventually Baal worship spread on, and Baal became Zeus, as it all turns out to be after you do the research. So Baal worship is still going on to this day, and we're going to touch on that. But I want to just give you guys some background on this, so you don't have to go digging and looking. And I'll give you the sources where I got this information. I didn't type all this out. I went and found it. But I'll give all that information to you at the end so you can find it. Or I'll put it in the description so you can go read for yourself. So these giants, they worshipped Baal and they worshipped Moloch. I think Baal and Moloch are the same. I've been reading, trying to prove that they are the same, and I've been finding some translations that mean they actually are the same thing. But Baal worship was particularly despised because it stemmed around child sacrifice, meaning that, and in the Bible you'll see where it talks about um, the Israelites leaving out and sacrificing their children on the altar of Baal and Moloch and running their children through the fire. So this religion and this deity got its power from child sacrifice. And in the book of Og, I'm going to read to you what they were doing. They were killing the firstborn son. Well, actually, they were killing all male sons that were born of the smaller selves, is what they called us. We were called smaller selves because they were giants. They killed all the little dudes that was born, period. Burnt them on the fires of Moloch and of Baal. Kept the women for sorcerers, and they kept a couple of guys for male sorcerers and soothsayers. Let's go on to the next slide, though. Now, on this slide, I wanted to give you a couple of scriptural bases where you could actually go and find out more information about what people were doing as it pertains to Baal worship. So, for example, Psalms 106, 35 through 38. But they mingled with the nations and learned their practices and served their idols, which became a snare to them. They even sacrificed their sons, their daughters, to the demons, and shed innocent blood, the blood of their sons and daughters, whom they sacrificed to the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. You can take a look at Leviticus, Deuteronomy, 2 Kings, Deuteronomy 12:31, Jeremiah 32:35. If you want to get a more detailed, in-depth look as to what people were doing as far as making sacrifices to Baal during Baal worship. I don't want to go into each and every one of those scriptures, but I'm trying to build the basis for you guys so you understand that everything that I'm going to read to you from the book of Og is backed up by what was said in the actual Bible, the one that came out of the Council of Nicaea. A lot of these books, man, my nose is stuffed up. A lot of these books were cut out of the Bible, but once you start to plug them back in and read, you realize that it gives you a whole story. It's a very frightening story, but also having the entire picture makes you more thankful that we don't have to deal with this kind of stuff. Um, Today's giants that we deal with are tech giants that decide where we can go, who we can talk to, pretty much everything at this point in time, as they kind of take over with technology. We still have giants, but they're giants of another form and another type, and those are going to be the ones that I believe we're going to have to defeat. And if the other giants come back, honestly, man, people are just going to get eaten because they're not ready. They're not ready to deal with a person telling them what they can and cannot say. They back down from that confrontation. Once you understand the mentality of Og, once you listen to what this dude was saying and listen to their mentality, you'll understand that there's no way that the average Christian today could even fathom dealing with something like this. And once you understand how bloody and gory and nasty the battles were that they had, like we wouldn't stand a chance. People are too wussified. Is probably the best way to say it. They're wussies. All right, next slide I want to touch on is the variations in the names of Baal. Remember, like I told you in this book, they're going to refer to him as Baal of the sun, Baal of the moon, Baal of the earth, Baal of the stars, Baal of the celestial bodies, all kind of crazy stuff, right? Um, and each one of those has a meaning. I don't care personally to deep dive into the meaning of each of those names, but I am going to go into the meaning of the names that are used in the Bible. So there's Baal Peor in the Bible. Um, and that Baal Peor, when people referred to him as Baal Peor, it always was associated with like these crazy sexual acts, um, and just, you know, massive fornication, idolatry. I mean, not idolatry, massive fornication, homosexuality, all these different just bestiality, these crazy sexual acts is when you read in the Bible and you see that the people worship Baal Peor, they were participating in very nasty sexual acts, right? And there's Baal Berith. And when people started talking about Baal Berith, that was referring to the actual sacrifice of children, building idols, I mean, building altars and literally burning children. So, for example, and also eating children or eating people, like eating flesh. So, you know, over the past couple of years, there's been this whole thing about the Epstein Island and the secret videos of people doing stuff in the underground Epstein Island. When you look at it, the actual temple, it's a temple of Baal / Moloch that they have there. Um, and I'm not sure which version. Was it Baal Peor or Baal Berith, or was it just Baal worship in general? But if you see someone who has anything that resembles a temple of Baal or a temple of Moloch, you can rest assured there's a couple of things that's going to be involved: child sacrifice, child molestation, um, and cannibalism, period, and sexual perverted acts, because that's what the religion is based on. That is the basics of that religion, and that's the basis of their belief. So it's not surprising to me that those things would happen in a location like this. But what was surprising to me was what I found just recently when I started trying to find evidence of modern day Baal worship here in America. And man, let me show you this. When you see this, you'll understand why our country is headed in a direction that it's headed. Why there's so much confusion, so much drama, so much craziness going on is because our country, the leaders of our country, not necessarily people, but the leaders of our country have turned away from God. And unfortunately, we are going to be held accountable because we voted for those people as leaders. So We voted for them. We put them in office. And these people that everybody's voted for, not everybody, some people voted against, but people voted for them. Um, these people aren't right. Let's take a look. Now, like I said 1,000 times, if you're going to be in a Dark Waters family, you need to have your big boy pants and big girl drawers on. No thongs allowed. No biker shorts. You need full underwear on. Granny panties and tidy whities if you're going to be in this family. Because I'm going to touch on things that people might find sensitive. But I'm just going to be honest with you. One of the reasons, or one of the problems that we have in this country right now is that we have moved so far away from being a country that's founded on the beliefs of God, and a country that as a whole tries to strive as a unit towards the original purpose, which was, out of many comes one. Meaning you can bring in many nations, many religions, many ethnicities, but we're one body, one union. And the reason why we're having these problems is because, and it's Christians' fault, is because we are too wussified and we allow things to happen because we worried about what people will say about us. So, for example, the Ark of Baal was erected in Washington, D.C. It was erected, and here's the evidence of it. It was erected a couple of days before that chick, when they had the Supreme Court, hearing where the little crazy chick who was in the CIA was up there talking about she was raped, and like you could look at that broad and tell she wasn't right. But the problem that we run into is in this country is because we moved away from God. We as Christians, I ain't talking about nobody else, because I mean, other people gonna do what they gonna do. We as Christians have moved so far away from God that we don't have discernment anymore. So when we look at people, we don't see through spiritual eyes what's being presented to us. We just see a person. So I'll never forget when that young lady was up, or that older lady was there, and she was crying and oh, he touched me, he did this, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, yo, something ain't right with you, lady. And I'm listening to the story, I'm like, yo, this is some bull. Like, yo, for real? Like, I got bros that I could find from my college days that I was in a club with, grabbed their butt and talked to them and laughed and joked, and they come say the same thing. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm using that as an example. See, we don't have the discernment, and because we moved away from God, and without that discernment, these type of things start to happen. So, literally, the Arch of Baal was erected in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is the seat of power for the United States of America, and so it goes to show you that our congressmen, our senators, even our president, at that point in time, wasn't on the ball. And they didn't handle their business. Because if I'm president, you talking about you raising an arch of Baal, I'm going to be like, nah, that's not happening. Period. Well, you're against this. You're damn right I'm against it. It's not happening. And if you bring it over here, I'm going to blow it up. But see, we don't have the balls to do that anymore. And therein lies one of our major problems. Now, why am I saying this? Because somebody's like, oh, don't want it. You just running it. No. You're going to understand why I'm saying there's a huge difference between the followers of God now and the ones that were back in the day, because we're going to get a juxtaposition once you start listening to what actually happened and what they were up against. And so I'm being very straightforward with you because I need you to understand we're at the starting point of this, and I need to frame this correctly. This conversation is being framed for you correctly so you can see what I'm saying as we move forward. The first article that I'm showing is on the left hand is from Snopes.com. Snopes is George Soros funded, and it says whether there's an article is true or not, and you see the green check meaning that it's true, and the other one, so that's a very liberal publication. Then the other one is very conservative publication. Both of them talking about the exact same thing. It's true. It was there. And that arc has been through every Western nation, meaning the ones like Canada. It's been in Europe. It's been Western cultured nation. Right? It's been everywhere. And that's a terrible thing, because it's supposed to be the seat of civilization, the modern seat of civilization. And You're going back to old world worship. All right, moving on to the next slide. Now, these next couple of slides, I just want to touch on them because it's more biblical evidence of the giants, but also these names will be referenced in the book of Og. So more than anything, I want to give you just a basis where you can go back and find these people like Anak. Anak and his descendants, the Anakim are the tall and numerous people, reckoning among the Nephilim and the Raphaim. The name of the father Anak is Arba, and Arba is mentioned in the book of Giants, not the book of Giants, it's mentioned in the lost book of Og as well. And so I just wanted to give you guys a couple of seconds, so you, no, not seconds, but I wanted to give you something to where you can come back and reference these names scripturally to where you know exactly where to go to find them. And then there's the other three huge giants, the sons of Anak. And so they are going to be mentioned as well. And if I'm not mistaken, the slide has all these names on it. But we're going to go and move forward. I'm going to shorten this, and we're going to move forward to where we actually get into Og and him talking to Moses. And let me tell you something. Og talked boss trash. When I tell you Og talked trash, Og talked boss trash. Like, I'm going to rip your skull out. Like, man, homeboy was spazzing out. The mentality, and it makes sense, his mentality, considering he was a giant and we were smaller than him. But homeboy just talked boss trash. I mean, huge, insane trash. And in this one segment, I want you to listen for a couple of things that he references. He references the bright ones and the dark ones. And the bright ones and the dark ones that possessed the giants, the beasts that they controlled. And really quickly, before the slide runs out, I've been saying over and over and over again that in many cases, these giant monsters that we see today are empty vessels that can be possessed. And so he's actually talking about this in his speech, well, as he's exchanging words with Moses. So here we go. Did you think, O corrupt worm of Israel, that I did not stand above the great water in the mountains? You who have never touched the sky or stood tall over anyone. My meditation, my dreams, are your loose-bowed death. Baal of the earth will guide me, like he did with Nimrod, the mangled loin Nephilim worm. Behold, I am Og, the largest man in the land. What can you possibly do to me? Are you prepared to die? I watched you crawl into the light as a corrupted fecal worm. I have watched your mother, Egypt, eat your young. I watch now, and I ponder, is this why you now war with me, O worm of Israel? You have slain my neighbor Sion. Baal will avenge and empower me to sever the corrupt worm with force. Your false god, your weak little men. I, Og, will spit upon your warriors who trail like ants beneath feces. I, Og, will wipe the spittle from my beard. I, Og, will arise when ready, and with the strength in me, but one arm, I, Og, will break all the horn of Israel. Are the tales of my exploits not traveling to your itching ears, O corrupt fecal worm of Israel? O my power! Oh, my power. Oh, how I, Og, did battle against the unspeakable scaled monsters in the renowned fields along with my Nephilim and Raphaim patronage. How we molded to murder. How we turned our wrath, mercy, a foreigner. where the old world monsters stood. Stupid fecal worm, stupid corrupt fecal worm. Your ox-like stupidity tires me to sleep. Oh, bitter, black-ended, corrupt fecal worm. Did not my royal, smaller selves, sorcerers of Baal of the earth, dance and prophesied your arrival? Have we in Bashan not dreamed nightly of your murder? My soothsayers tell of our victory, worship, sacrifices. My priestess speak of sorcery and perversion of Baal has spoken. Of when I, Og, will tear the virgin child's skull of the corrupt fecal worm Moses from his soft dung-filled body, and hold it over Bashan as a blood sign to Baal of the earth. Your barren women will sing praises to Og. My dreams need no interpretation. How will I, Og, murder, corrupt one? I murder you as a dog, torn by a bull at the slaughter. Should I lift an entire mountain of earth over my head? Is not Baal the god of this fertile earth I, Og, live in? The kingdom supreme Baal has thousands of answers to the pathetic, excretious, smeared, insect-sized god Israel. Come here that I, Og, may bind you with bracelets and cords empowered by Baal of the earth outside of our temple in the high places. How many castaways have you killed since your insect-sized God told you not to kill? You were commanded, you fecal-minded hypocrite. The spirits of the slain complain about you and cry out, Moses, you blood-drunken feaster upon feces, like a cowardly virgin, smaller self-child with gift toys before the sacrifice. You run from the skirts of your mother Egypt to me, that we may do battle. I, Og, will grind your bones to their dung marrow. I, Og, will pluck your eyes from your face and toss them to the blood pits. I will eat both of your arms to the stump. Great fear shall seize you. You shall fall upon your blood vomit-stained face, broken and contrite before Og. My smaller self priestess, my smaller self sorceress of Baal of the earth shall dance and witness the slaughter of the corrupt fecal worm of Israel. And they will disrobe and paint their supple flesh with Moses' blood and entrails before Baal of the earth. When we celebrate on high in August, we'll carry the severed stupid virgin child skull of half on high over the roads. There will be screams of praise to Og, to Baal of the sun. There will be roast flesh served to Baal of the earth, to Baal of the stars and celestial bodies, even to Mut, to Og. Cheers as Moses' virgin head is held high through the roads of Bashan. Because you want it so, I will anoint my head and beard with oil before I go make war with you. Insect-worshipping virgin child, you will be defeated. Corrupt little worm, small self Moses, my spies have told I, Og, of your smaller self army and their worship of any god but yours, and your murderous solutions. Of your time in Egypt, of your commandments of laws, of your violence and madness, all in the name of your fecal insect god. Is not your hypocrisy shining as a beacon before you? You who should not kill because of your God's commandments are the most murderous of us all. Corrupt fecal worm, smaller self Moses, my spies told of the bronze snake to look upon when poisoned. You would kill your own for not worshiping your senseless, corrupt insect god who kills yet commands that you should not? Murderous, smaller self Israel, now at the foot of my kingdom, I will grind my complete loins to destroy you and all your flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under the stars, and everything of yours that has life shall die. As the last of the Raphaim, leader in the 100,000 giant war and the survivor of the great waters, I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children shall be fatherless. You will be slaughtered and burned for Baal of the earth. Baal of the sun will bring down the flames. After killing King Arad, then killing King Sion, and your beard was drenched in their wives' and children's blood. You would grind your loins against the last of the Rephaim? Grind them well. It is time to stand against a true priest of Baal. Upon your firstborn I will feed. I will kill your root and slay your remnant. My hands are ready for warfare. In my late age, the stray dogs of Bashan will feast on the flesh of Israel and the yellow entrails of Moses on the roads and in the paths. Baal of the earth, will it so? My spies say that when you killed the king of Shion, you killed the women and children, keeping the spoils. Your corrupt fecal god has driven you mad, murder, slaughter, destruction, and the hands of Israel. Oh, war madness, drunk with the blood of spoils, enemies learned. Life is still lost, even when the battle is won, worm. I will release the floating wild beast to you, O corrupt fecal Israel. Learn to suffer its ways of connection from before your time, before your flood, before Nimrod was there, from the time of monsters, from the time the bright ones, my brethren in the fields, their livestock, their greater beasts of old, creeping and cloven hoof monsters that ruled, giants, those men of old powerful dark ones, connected in heart and mind and unstoppable before gods. One mind and of one heart they ruled, these men of old, and their beasts driven before them. Beasts that controlled the men as the men controlled the beasts. Oh, stupid, corrupt, fecal worm Moses, learn to fear the heart of an animal and the mind of a giant. It is time for you to share your being with something greater. I want no victory spoils, just your stupid head. Train your strange weapons. Make war, little man. Make war, corrupt little worm. For Baal of the earth, I will spread the blood, virgin body. I, Og, have trained each arm as one trains their oxen. My old world, back and legs are ready. My life is too, fecal worm. I will tear your backbone. For Baal of the earth, I, Og, will pull the fecal beard, smaller self, child skull of Moses from your dung-filled body. I, Og, the last of the Rephaim. How long Moses has to live? I have not summoned such anger since the 100,000 giants war.